Someone had a meme that said, 2023 normal people, aliens are here. 2023 conspiracy theorists. No, they're not. This struck me as curious because I too made the observation that it's weird that after the CIA got into the alien disclosure racket, it's now the so-called conspiracy theorists who are pointing out that it's just weather balloons. In 1947, it would have been the opposite. Things have come full circle. Speaking of CIA fakery, according to NASA head Wernher von Braun's assistant, Carol Rosen, von Braun had been at meetings where top government officials were expressing admiration for Orson Welles' 1938 War of the Worlds broadcast that tricked millions into thinking an alien invasion had happened. They discussed how the government might engage in the same tactics to manipulate the public. I only mention this because, in the history of propaganda, writers, artists, and filmmakers were there at the ground floor. For instance, the first Ministry of Propaganda in World War I was headed up by author Arnold Bennett. He recruited other famous writers like his friend H.G. Wells. Together they came up with fake atrocity stories to manipulate the masses and manufacture consent for the war. The same thing happened after 9/11. The Pentagon put out an open casting call for writers to help them change hearts and minds in the new war on terror. They said that they had a deficit in imagination and needed fiction writers to help them anticipate terrorist plots, or perhaps to dream up some for themselves. Tom Clancy was one of the writers recruited. Many other best-selling authors entered government service to come up with fanciful plots to capture the public imagination. President Obama, of course, famously hired one fiction writer, Ben Rhodes, to be a spokesman. He famously lied about Obama giving pallets of cash to the Iranians and spun a yarn about good mullahs and bad mullahs and how Obama was trying to help the good mullahs overthrow the bad mullahs. Later he admitted that he'd made the whole thing up. He laughed about the gullibility of the reporters who credulously retailed the whopper, saying, "All these newspapers used to have foreign bureaus. Now they don't. They call us to explain what's happening in Moscow and Cairo. Most of the outlets are reporting on world events from Washington. The average reporter we talk to is 27 years old, and their only reporting experience consists of being around political campaigns. That's a sea change. They literally know nothing." I say all this because of the cinematic nature of the recent train derailment and chemical spill in East Palestine, Ohio. The events were eerily presaged by a Netflix movie called White Noise last year that was about a train derailment and chemical spill that was set in the same part of Ohio. In fact, it even used residents of East Palestine as extras. East Palestine, Ohio resident Ben Ratner, who also played an evacuee extra in White Noise, told people that the situation was scary. Talk about art imitating life, the 37-year-old father of four told the outlet. You can just about drive yourself crazy thinking about how uncanny the similarities are between what's happening now and in that movie, Ratner said. Not only was White Noise a strange coincidence, but other coincidences happened. Like James Bradley noted, "I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but why did the CDC update their profile for vinyl chloride 11 days before the train crash in Ohio?" A further strange coincidence was that 3 months before the disaster, FEMA was in East Palestine running disaster scenarios similar to what would later happen, as can be seen in this news broadcast from the time.
Columbiana County coverage now, and East Palestine is known as the place to be. It's way ahead of the curve on a program to provide better treatment for anyone in the event of an emergency. I learned how it works and how it could help everyone in East Palestine. My ID provides quick medical information for emergency responders. Darlene Chapman is the outreach coordinator for this project, and she's an EMT.
If they're in a situation where they can't tell us or they don't have any family around, this is something that would make my life easier.
My ID works by taking a camera phone and pointing it at a QR code. It provides valuable medical information such as allergies, breathing difficulties, or other conditions, so you get proper treatment and care.
Who knows what the nature of these coincidences is? Is it art imitating life like that novel 100 years ago called Futility that described an unsinkable ship called the Titan that was released right before the Titanic sank? Or is it more likely that there are military novelists scripting events in some underground bunker for our new Ministry of Propaganda, the so-called Global Engagement Center? Only subsequent disclosures will clarify the situation. We're launching the New American TV, hosted by Rebecca Terrell. I'll be on the show as a sort of half-baked color commentator for the news. Check it out on thenewamerican.com.